Creativity is one of those things that is impossible to truly understand. It is a subject that is unlike most other things in our world. As a creative, you get to choose where you want to take your next step. Your job is to take your dreams and make them a reality. Sometimes you may even be lucky enough to create something that will go on to change the lives of millions. Creativity has been the birth of countless innovations that have changed this world and made it what it is today. It is what drives our world to the places that previously we would have never imagined.
I think creativity is a source of passion and finding your calling, whether that's art, whether it's media, whether it's literature. Like, you just find something that you're so passionate about and something that you want to share that is not sitting in a day job every single day.
For me, creativity is taking my imagination and converting that into some kind of concrete product.
Something that is not there and the person imagines it and then makes it happen.
At a young age, I was encouraged to take things apart, put them back together, learn how things worked. And so I learned to imagine things and then figure out how to bring that imagination to something concrete.
Anyone that's in the creative industry has their own creative process. It always just goes by person. Sure, there's some similarities, but it's going to go person by person, right? Like, my own creative process is different than like so-and-so's creative process. Like, it really is just whatever works for you. Compared to like other things where it's just like, A, B, C, boom, you're done.
It's not something that's just like given to you. Like an assignment for like English or math, it's like kind of definite and like what it's gonna be. Whereas with being creative, it's kind of hard to like make up your own thing. You have to kind of like figure it out for yourself.
This is like, okay, I think I have an idea, let me plan it out. Okay, that doesn't work, let me rewrite this idea, let me create this, let me write that. What gear am I gonna need? What talent am I gonna need? Blah, 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 how am I gonna create this into a final product, and how am I gonna please my audience with it, right?
I think for me, it's about what do I enjoy and what would the audience enjoy. I think everybody goes through a different process, but mine hits me at the most random ideas. I swear I'll be in the shower, like washing my hair, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that'd be a great video idea. So it really just pops into my head, or I'll have a concept or an idea, and I just kind of make it come to life. So for me, it's talking to a camera in a room by myself. For others, it's painting a beautiful picture or filming and editing a beautiful video. It really just depends. So I think creativity and inspiration comes in the most random times, and then through that it blossoms.
To me, being a creative is the ultimate form of freedom. So there are so many things that I imagine and I get to make happen. For example, this video program, didn't exist. I just made it up. The morning show, I just made it up. This film class, they don't have this in Georgia. I made it up. I just created it out of thin air.
That's it. It wasn't some deep, dark, I'm going to spend, 4 years researching what it. They don't do that. So I think a lot of creatives, it is kind of sporadic. It's not something they plan for. It just happens. We hear of them waking up in the middle of the night. I had this melody stuck in my head, and they write it down, and it becomes some popular song, And I think that is probably more common than you and me and 3 other guys going to room saying we're not coming out till we come out with a great product. I think that's harder when you're pressured into trying to be creative rather than just letting it happen.
I've been able to grow my branding exponentially, something I never thought I'd be able to do, like literally ever. I think putting time and passion and effort into my branding and my videos and my content on social media is what boomed and what took off, and has really allowed me to be in the place that I am now, which, like I said, is never something I imagined. So it's really cool to see how something so small turned into something so big.
The creative mind is very powerful in its nature. Its capabilities are immeasurable, but at the same time, it is incredibly vulnerable. It can be put out like a candle that has reached the end of its wick.
It's no secret that COVID was a thing. Very much I slipped into a habit of, hey, I don't have to do my best because my best can't exist in a world that doesn't care about me. There was very much a sense of, hey, I want to die. I will fall on the floor and never wake up again if I don't finish this. So I'd rather finish it at 30% than put 100% into it.
It mentally gets to you to where your battery, like your mental battery is just out, and you're just like, I cannot do this. Like, I physically and mentally cannot think of anything. And it gets to you a lot because you're just like, I usually come up with great ideas. Like, why can't I not do it right now? Right? So it's just one of those things where, like, you can't control it, but it'll really get to you and it'll really throw you off when you can't do something, especially like that, just coming up with a simple idea.
I think I've struggled with creating content consistently that's not repetitive because, like I said, posting videos for so long, you can only make so many morning routines on YouTube. So I think it's, like I said, finding that differentiation between you and the next person, because there's millions of people that make YouTube videos, but what makes me special?
We create stuff every day in the industry that I'm in, and it does get very tiresome. Some days it's like I get assigned a project and I'm like, oh, like I have a great idea for this. I'm gonna attack it and go with it, and it comes out really well. Other days I get assigned a project and I'm just like, I don't know what to do, and then I have to like ask other people like, hey, like what should I do for this? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty stuck.
There is a struggle coming up with your own motivation when there is no one around you, and in a lot of creative fields, you are your own worst enemy purely because no one else can really judge it the same way you can.
So it's this problem that doesn't have a finite answer. It's not this equation with this answer that will always be the same. It doesn't always work the same way.
And it honestly happens a lot more than you think. Like most films and shows and just stuff you see on the internet, those things don't just come like those things aren't just planned. Like they don't just happen all the time. Like those things happen like just at the most random moments, and someone's like, oh my gosh, this is a great TV show, or this is a great edit that I can do, and then they create it, right? It's one of those things where it's like it fluctuates all the time, and sometimes you have something and sometimes you don't. So it really just depends.
This lack of ideas and inspiration is known as creative burnout. It is the dark side of the creative mind. And for high schoolers, sometimes being creative at all can seem impossible.
In high school, I knew very early on that I wanted to pursue this as a passion, like videography. I just wanted to pursue it as a passion, right? And it was very limiting in high school when all you can do is just focus on your grades.
Because I know that when I'm in school, I'm not reaching my max potential. It's not my peak, because I know that my creative brain does not work sitting in a tiny little desk and chair working on a math test.
Because if you slack off for just 1 week, that'll affect your grade by a lot, and that's scary. Like that just scares you to where you can't even focus on your creative ability.
When you're forced to take classes that you're not passionate about and that you have no interest in, it really blocks you off from the creative outlet. And that's why growing up, I found every excuse not to be in school.
School does get very limiting because you just don't have any time. Like in the real world, all I do now is just focus on ideas and focus on creating things, and that's the beauty of my job, and that's why I love it so much, because I have nothing else to worry about. The only thing I worried about is getting those videos done and sent to the people that need the content. So
the pressures in high school are pressures for a high school student. Things like getting good grades, pleasing your parents, pleasing your teachers, pleasing the powers that be. when you're an adult, being creative and trying to make money at it so that you can pay the bills, so you can keep staying creative, that's the adult pressure.
I think being the source of your own income, of your own branding, of that is like, it's a give and a take, because it's something that you're so passionate about and you want to pursue and do the best job that you can, but it's also a money source and an income source. So you know that you have to work hard to produce good stuff to be able to live sustainably. And when your job is based off your passion, and sometimes you get burnt out or you get tired, it's hard to rely on that source of income all the time.
It was August 2001, and I was at the height of everything. I was being chosen to speak in front of 1,000 people or 2,000 people. And in one instance, it just seemed to stop. So I got a call while I was in Las Vegas speaking to video people that my father needed surgery. And so I immediately flew back to Atlanta to make sure that I was there when my father was awake, and the surgery was successful. However, the doctors put him in a medically induced coma, and that was the beginning of September 2001. 10 days later, 9/11 happened. And when 9/11 happened, my business stopped, just stopped. And no money was flowing in. In December, my father passed away, and he was my hero. And I just didn't have it in me. I just didn't have any drive to do anything. And everything just seemed to be sapped out of me. And then in January, the bills started coming. And I was a single dad, and I just couldn't function. And a client reached out to me and said, I want you to create a video montage like you've never done before. And I said, okay. And so I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. And then the ideas just started flowing. And I stopped for a minute and just let them flow. And then I created magic. And I have no idea what I did, but several other people saw that work and wanted that work. And they wanted me to do that work. And then the creative process started all over again.
I think in the real world, when you're trying to be a creative, you're either working hard to earn the paycheck or you're employed by a publisher and working hard to meet their deadline. So I think that you have these walls that get put up in the real world, whether they're real or whether they're ones that you have conjured up in your head, that force you into being less creative. I think when you can do it on your own time and there's nobody pushing you, you can be more creative.
I think that you have to find ways to build your creativity outside of the standard norm.
When you stop working and you start to just live your life and you start to just have that work-life balance, that's when you start to create ideas. That's when you start to give your head just some space, right?
I think it takes time. I think it takes a lot of time because you can't control how you feel.
I feel like a lot of people would unlock a part of their brain that they just haven't really used in probably ever, honestly. So
once you take the time, whether that's a month, a week, a day, or a year, you come back. And it can be gradual, it can be immediate, but you know that you'll come back. Because if it's truly something that you're so passionate about and you know that that's your calling, you'll want to come back.
Creativity is something that no one will ever truly understand. But it is and always will be one of those things that drives our world to the heights that we have only dreamed of. An idea, although it may seem small or insignificant, will always have the chance to change the world.